What's going on, guys? Today, we're going to explore together one of the most insane and spectacular confrontations, a battle between two entities, representing the two most terrifying concepts of destruction ever created in comic book history. On one side is Thanos, the Mad Titan, the one who once knelt before death itself, the one who once held the Infinity Gauntlet in his hands and snapped his fingers to wipe out half of all life in the universe. And on the other side is Knull, the Lord of Darkness, the primordial god who existed before the universe was born, the one who created the symbiotes, the one who killed a celestial with a single sword strike, and the one who sees darkness not as a weapon, but as his very nature. The universe is in its most peaceful period following the Secret Wars event. Civilizations are rebuilding. The wounds left by Thanos' snap have slowly healed, until one day, at the farthest edge of the galaxy, where even the light of the most distant stars cannot reach, a darkness begins to spread. It is not an invading fleet, not a black hole. It is something alive, something more ancient than time itself, awakening after billions of years of imprisonment. And the first one to sense this presence is not Doctor Strange, not the Silver Surfer. It is Thanos himself, sitting at that moment upon his throne in an isolated dimension. The moment Knull's darkness touches his mind, Thanos feels no fear. He only smiles, that cold smile we have seen before when he faced the Avengers in Infinity War, and he whispers, "A true God has finally appeared." It is time I reminded this universe that there is only one being permitted to bring destruction, and that is me. And that is only the beginning of a war that will redefine the entire concept of power in the Marvel Universe. Before diving deep into the events of this horrifying battle, to understand why the confrontation between Thanos and Knull is not simply a fight between two powerful beings, but an ideological war, a clash between two completely different definitions of destruction in the history of the Marvel Universe. Knull is not an invader from outer space. He is a primordial god, existing from before the universe was born. When the Celestials began their endeavor of creating light and life, they violated Knull's eternal kingdom of darkness. To him, light, life, and everything that exists in this universe are an insult, a stain upon the pure dark canvas he had ruled since the infinite beginning. Knull does not want to conquer the universe. He wants to return it to its original state, a dark void where nothing exists except himself. Thanos, on the other hand, is a product of the very universe Knull seeks to destroy. Born on Titan, a moon of Saturn, Thanos is an eternal carrying within him the deviant syndrome, which made him an outcast from the very moment he was born. But what sets Thanos apart is not his physical strength or his superior intellect. It is love, a mad and desperate love for death itself. Thanos does not kill out of hatred, does not destroy for power. His every action, from massacring his own kind on Titan to the legendary snap, are all offerings presented to his beloved Mistress Death. And this is the crucial point that creates the conflict. Thanos considers this universe his property, the stage for his greatest acts of devotion. He will not allow anyone, not even a primordial god, to take that stage away from him before the battle truly begins. Knull, through one of his high-ranking symbiotes, sends a message to Thanos. You call yourself the Destroyer, but you are nothing more than a worm trying to impress an abstract concept. The death you worship will no longer exist once I complete my work. Because when there is no more life, there will be no more death. Only eternal darkness will remain, and me. How does Thanos respond? He does not grow angry. He only laughs, the laugh of one who has seen through every secret of the universe, and says, "You understand nothing about death. You think death is an ending, but death is in truth the ultimate liberation. Every life I take is a prayer, a gift. As for you, Knull, you are nothing but an amateur. You kill without purpose, without love, and that is why you will fail." Thanos' motivation in this war is not to protect the universe. He has never cared about that. His motivation is jealousy, the fear that another will steal the role of Supreme Destroyer that he has spent his entire life building. Knull's motivation, on the other hand, is far simpler. He wakes up, sees a universe full of light and life, and feels disgusted. To him, destroying the universe is no different from cleaning up a messy room. No hatred, no passion, only the absolute coldness of a creator correcting his own mistake. When you hear me say that Knull is powerful enough to kill a celestial with a single sword strike, that is no exaggeration. All black, the Necro Sword, the blade Knull forged from primordial darkness itself, is the first and most powerful weapon in the history of the Marvel Universe. It does not merely cut through matter, it severs the very concept of its victim's existence. When Knull beheads a celestial, He does not simply kill that massive body. He completely erases its existence from every timeline, every parallel reality. And the symbiote armor he wears, the thing that would later become the ancestor of all venom, carnage, and every other symbiote, is a living part of his own body, a biological weapon capable of adapting and evolving to counter any threat. But Thanos is no empty-handed opponent either. Following the events of Infinity War, despite having destroyed the Infinity Stones, Thanos still possesses something even more terrifying: experience and an understanding of the nature of the universe. He once held ultimate power in his hands, once saw the complete picture of creation, and most importantly, he has died before and was resurrected by death herself. This grants Thanos an advantage no other being possesses. He no longer fears death because he knows his beloved will always welcome him back. All right, and this is truly the most insane part. The setting is the edge of the galaxy, where Thanos' fleet encounters the first wave of symbiotes. Thousands of Chitauri warriors, creatures engineered to become perfect killing machines, charge into the symbiote army. But something horrifying happens. The symbiotes do not kill the Chitauri in any ordinary way. They invade their bodies, seize control of their nervous systems, and turn them into puppets within Knull's army. Within mere minutes, half of Thanos' fleet has turned its weapons against him. Standing on the command deck of the Sanctuary 3, Thanos watches the scene with a terrifying calm. His servant, Ebony Maw, kneels and says, "My lord, we must retreat." This darkness cannot be destroyed by conventional weapons. But Thanos does not respond. He steps off the command deck and walks straight out into open space without any protective equipment whatsoever. As an Eternal, whose power has been enhanced through countless cycles of death and resurrection, Thanos can survive in a vacuum with ease. And then, for the first time, the two entities of destruction face one another. Knull emerges from the darkness, not with an explosion or a display of power, but with an absolute silence. His body is a massive humanoid form encased in jet-black symbiote, with eyes blazing red like two bottomless abysses. In his hand is All Black, the Necro Sword, the legendary blade that once belonged to Gore, the God Butcher, and before that had slain countless gods across the universe. The atmosphere at this moment is not merely tense, it is a spiritual, overwhelming, that an ordinary person cannot begin to comprehend. For Thanos, who has faced Galactus, who has defeated eternity, who once held the power of a god in his hands, even the presence of Knull is a shock. He can feel Knull's darkness not only encroaching upon the surrounding space, but also seeping into his mind, searching for his deepest fear to exploit. But Knull fails, because Thanos has no fear. He abandoned everything, his family, his homeland, even his humanity long ago. The only thing remaining in his heart is his love for death, and that love cannot be tainted by any darkness. Knull speaks first, his voice not emerging from his mouth, but echoing directly into the minds of all who are present in that space. "Thanos, the Mad Titan, I know of you. I know of the gifts you offer to death, but do you know that even death itself will cease to exist once I complete my mission? You are fighting for an illusion. Kneel, and I will grant you a swift death, a privilege I bestow upon no one else." This is precisely the moment we need to look back into the past to explain the true origins of Knull and his connection to the very structure of the Marvel Universe. Many people mistakenly believe Knull is just another space monster. That is like saying a solar flare is just a matchstick. Knull existed before light, before matter, before time. In the endless darkness of the primordial void, Knull was the sole consciousness, the absolute master of a kingdom with no boundaries, no concept of life or death. He slept peacefully within that darkness until the Celestials appeared, bringing with them light and creation. And the crucial point, the one that few people notice, is the relationship between Knull and the very nature of life in the Marvel Universe. Knull does not simply hate light. He views light and life as parasites polluting his kingdom of pure darkness. Every star that is born, every planet that forms, every creature that appears, all of them are wounds upon the body of eternal darkness. And Knull, as the embodiment of that darkness, feels each and every one of those wounds as though they are being carved directly into his own flesh. This is not a war of conquest. This is a surgery. Knull does not wish to destroy the universe out of hatred, but because he sees the universe as a disease and himself as the only surgeon capable of cutting it out. Returning to the present, Thanos responds to Knull's offer with a burst of laughter, laughter that rings through the silent void of space like a thunderclap. "You think I fear death? You think I fight for the survival of this universe? You understand nothing, Knull. I do not fight to protect the universe. I fight because death deserves to receive her gifts from my own hands, not from an amateur like you. Every soul you take without offering to her, every world you destroy without her witnessing it, is an insult I cannot forgive. And the moment that I personally believe is one of the most insane displays of power that could possibly exist in the Marvel Universe. The battle between Thanos and Knull is not a simple contest of strength, but a strategic game of chess between the two greatest minds of destruction. Knull strikes first. He swings all black the Necro Sword, unleashing a wave of darkness capable of swallowing an entire galaxy. But Thanos has prepared for this. He activates a special device he constructed before the battle began, a machine he calls the First Light, built using technology harvested from the very celestials he had studied. This machine generates a burst of pure light, the primordial light identical to what awakened Knull from his eternal slumber billions of years ago. For Knull, who has never had to face anything capable of hurting him since being defeated by the Celestials, this is a genuine shock. The light does not kill him, but it causes him pain, a pain he has not felt in billions of years. And in that moment of weakness, Thanos launches his attack. He does not use conventional weapons. Instead, he uses his own bare hands, the hands that once wore the Infinity Gauntlet, to wrap around Knull's throat. But Knull is not so easily defeated. He allows Thanos to choke him, and then his body dissolves into thousands of tiny symbiote fragments, surrounding Thanos from every direction. Each symbiote fragment is a part of Knull, each carrying within it the consciousness and power of the Lord of Darkness. They begin to invade Thanos' body, attempting to seize control of him in the same way they had done to the Chitauri warriors. This is the moment he has resisted the power of the Infinity Stones, has endured mental torture from death herself. Compared to those experiences, the symbiote invasion is nothing more than a passing breeze. Thanos focuses his entire will and drives back the symbiote intrusion. But more importantly, he has learned something from this contact. In the moment the symbiote connected with his mind, Thanos simultaneously connected back with the mind of Knull, and he saw the one and only fear of the Lord of Darkness, absolute solitude. Thanos, with all of his brutality and cunning, exploits that fear. He orders his fleet to activate a series of special devices, not to attack Knull, but to create an energy field that isolates the entire battlefield from the rest of the universe. Suddenly, Knull feels something he has never felt since the universe was born: separation from the primordial darkness. Thanos' energy field does not destroy Knull, but it severs his connection to the infinite power source of the primordial void. For the first time in billions of years, Knull feels small, alone, and vulnerable. And in that moment, Thanos does the unthinkable. He does not kill Knull, because he knows that killing a primordial god would only cause him to be reborn within the darkness. Instead, he does something 1,000 times more cruel. He imprisons Knull inside a cage forged from pure light, a light drawn from the Big Bang itself, the only moment in the history of the universe capable of causing Knull harm. And then, he launches that prison deep into the void, where no darkness can ever reach, where Knull will be imprisoned forever within the very thing he despises most: solitude in the light. Knull fights with raw power, with primordial darkness and his symbiote horde. But Thanos fights with intellect, with a profound understanding of his opponent's psychology, and with a cruelty that knows no limits. He does not need to be stronger than Knull to defeat him. He only needs to understand what Knull fears most, and use that very thing as his weapon. A surreal scene unfolds. Knull, the Lord of Darkness, the one who once slew Celestials, the one who once created an entire race of destruction, now screams in despair as he is imprisoned within a sphere of light, cast into the deepest reaches of the void. And Thanos, with a cold smile, turns and walks away, whispering, "This is my gift to her, not the death of a god, but his eternal suffering." And as the outcome of this confrontation, Thanos is not merely the destroyer, he is also the protector of death. And in that role, he will not allow anyone, not even a primordial god, to steal his exclusive right to destruction. The aftermath of this battle is not the disappearance of the symbiote threat. On the contrary, with Knull imprisoned, the symbiotes across the universe become more unhinged and uncontrollable than ever before. They no longer have a master to command them, but they also no longer have a will to restrain their destructive instincts. And this is the narrative payoff, the moment we understand the deeper meaning behind this entire war. Thanos did not save the universe. He simply replaced one threat with another, one that is more chaotic and far harder to control. Knull represents meaningless destruction, a return to the primordial void where nothing exists. But Thanos represents purposeful destruction, a destruction that carries within it love and devotion. This distinction may sound trivial, but it is the very core of Thanos' entire philosophy of existence. He does not kill out of hatred or for power. He kills out of love. And in his twisted worldview, that is what makes every one of his actions more noble and meaningful than any other form of destruction. So, is Thanos truly more powerful than Knull? The answer is no and yes. In terms of raw power, Knull far surpasses Thanos. He is a primordial god, existing from before the universe was born. His power cannot be measured by any scale. But in terms of strategy, in terms of willpower, and in terms of the ability to exploit the psychological weaknesses of an opponent, Thanos is completely superior. He has proven that power is not everything. Sometimes, understanding the deepest fear of your enemy matters more than possessing a sword capable of killing gods. This battle also reveals another side of Thanos that few people notice, his absolute solitude. When facing Knull, Thanos saw a reflection of himself, a lonely, outcast being, searching for meaning in his own existence through destruction. But while Knull wishes to return to the primordial void, a place where he would no longer have to feel lonely, because there would be no one left to compare himself to, Thanos instead embraces his loneliness and transforms it into strength. He needs no one but death. And it is precisely that acceptance which makes him invincible against forces that seek to exploit his psychological vulnerabilities. In the Marvel Universe, power is not what determines the victor. Knowledge, strategy, and willpower are the decisive factors. Thanos has proven that even a primordial god like Knull can be defeated, not through superior strength, but by exploiting his deepest fear. And in doing so, he has cemented his position as the supreme destroyer, the sole guardian of the exclusive right to offer souls to death. And now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? If Knull were to escape from Thanos' prison of light, could he take his revenge? Or in your opinion, is there any other entity in the Marvel Universe capable of defeating Thanos after he has proven his superiority? Could this be the setup for a major event in the MCU after Secret Wars, where Thanos returns not as a destroyer, but as the final protector of the universe against primordial threats? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story interesting and want us to explore more epic, superpowered confrontations, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you in the next universe story. Peace out.